Okay, guys, so we're looking right here at the Bitcoin on the 3-day chart. Basically, I really like this, the 3-day chart because, you're able to find a lot of fractals throughout Bitcoin's history that it seems to be like repeating right now. I know that many, altcoins are pumping and a bunch of coins are going up, and Solana has made new all-time highs. The same thing is going on with Axie Infinity, but the market is kind of like telling us a similar story to what happened in the past, right? So if we go back to the 2014, 2014 bull cycle, right? Kind of like the first thing that I noticed is that not only the break of the 50-week moving average kind of like marks the beginning of a bear trend after an exponential rise, but specifically like the touch of the 103-day moving average, right? So every single time we have a Bitcoin after a exponential rise, I think this was 62,000 percent bull run, which is crazy. Right after it topped in 2013 at around 1,000, $1,250. Bitcoin came down to touch the 103-day moving average, right? Then rebounded approximately 65%. And then from that point on, we get a sell signal by the TD sequential indicator on the 3-day chart, which then mark the beginning of a new correction, right? Where we could basically bottom in 2015 at around kind of like 200 and $162, right? So basically the touch of the 103-day moving average is quite important in by the end of every single bull cycle, right? I mean, just like we saw in 2014, kind of like a similar pattern kind of like happened in 2018, right? After 12,124% bull run, Bitcoin kind of like tops around $20,000, right? Comes down, touches the 103-day moving average, it rebounds. It was a really strong rebound, right? A 100% rebound. And then from that moment on, it started consolidating before it basically, kind of like capitulated and well down to kind of like $3,000 by December 2018. Now in the mini bull run of 2019, something similar happened, right? Bitcoin's after a 350% upswing, Bitcoin kind of like comes down, right? Touches the 103-day moving average, it rebounds significantly, right? Then it starts like kind of like this consolidation period. And of course, it's what the COVID crash, but kind of like develop kind of like the same structure of the previous bull cycles, right? Where Bitcoin basically come down and kind of like hit button at 3,880. Now in the current bull cycle, right, after 1,572% bull run, Bitcoin seems to have topped at $65,000, right? And then from that moment on, it went down, broke through the 53-day moving average, and then tested the 103-day moving average, right? And based on the kind of like the average of the last 3 bull cycles, right? After a touch of the 103-day moving average, I was expecting a 62% upswing, which is crazy, but it came exactly to that, right? Which is like basically this the average of the last 3 rebounds every time Bitcoin comes down and touches the 103-day moving average, right? And then from this point, usually after that exponential rebound, Bitcoin begins to go down, right? And then it spends a little bit of time before actually capitulation comes, right? So right now, we're getting on the 3-day as well a sell signal by the TD sequential indicator, which kind of tells me that the upswing that we have seen over the past month is coming to an end. I do believe that there is a possibility that Bitcoin could go up to 50K because, if Bitcoin manages to, claim the $50,000 resistance level as support, at least momentarily, a lot of people were excited about it, right? So people will start FOMOing, trying to buy this. In the meantime, the market makers are kind of like, have the whole plan orchestrated, right? So even though we're getting this sell signal right here on the 3-day chart, there is still a slight possibility that I could see that they could come up to $50,000, right? But losing once again the 50-day moving average as support, I believe that the same history, I mean the same kind of like price action that we have seen over, I mean, since Bitcoin's inception, right, as I just described right here, will happen now. And now Bitcoin will basically end this kind of like upswing, which can be considered kind of like a bull trend, and now it will begin descending, right? Based on the previous cycles, right? I mean, it usually takes between 141 days, 183 days, or up to 278 days for Bitcoin to kind of like break below the support level, right? In 2018, that support level was basically what do we see here? Kind of like, yeah, $6,135. For this current bear trend that I see, I think the support is basically at $30,000, right? So I believe that the $30,000 support level will kind of like break between October and kind of like November, yeah, between October and mid-November. And after that, we could potentially see capitulation, right, for Bitcoin to come down as it did in previous bull cycles as well, and basically touch the 200-week moving average, which is currently sitting at $15,000, right? So the outlook that I have for Bitcoin right now is bearish, regardless of the price action, the institutional investors, and everything that is going on. But I'm not paying attention that much to the noise, right? I'm only paying attention to the fractals and the price action that Bitcoin has seen in the previous bull cycles. If something similar to the previous bull cycles were to repeat today, we could start to see Bitcoin descending again, and again break below 30,000 between anytime between October and basically November, and kind of like capitulate at around $15,000. That could potentially be around anytime between December and February, right? That's where when capitulation comes. But there is a way that, of course, this kind of like bear or bearish, technical analysis can be invalidated, and I believe that Bitcoin must claim the 51,000 resistance level as support, right? Maybe consolidate in there for a little while, right? So basically, just come here, consolidate here for a little while, right? And then kind of like break above $59,000, right? And whenever this happens right here, that will be full confirmation that basically this theory has been invalidated. And in that case, I will be targeting potentially $100,000 or even $150,000, right? But until that happens, I basically remain bearish on Bitcoin, and I do believe that the break of the 30,000 support level will come anytime between October and November, and Bitcoin will kind of like bottom out at around $15,000. So yeah, that's my take on Bitcoin. Maybe you, Sheldon, have something else to share, or maybe you guys have any questions about this, by the way. Okay, so I guess not. So yeah, maybe you, Sheldon, can share your screen and share your.
Wait, did you just say my name?
I'm talking to Sheldon.
Okay.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, those different things, that's something that I noticed when I looked at the monthly. I think it was last week, that analysis that I did, that there was that phenomena where it came down to the 50-week simple moving average. You saw the rebound, and then it deteriorated after that into a notable decline. This time around, at this point, in terms of the price action, I don't see that. However, one of the things that took place this week was a breakdown in the triangle pattern here in terms of Bitcoin dominance in the crypto market. It fell down to about 44%. So everybody says that anything below 50% is supposed to be bearish for the cryptocurrency market and Bitcoin overall. So it's interesting to note that Ali's bringing up this bearish view today when we did have this break in Bitcoin dominance during this past week. So I just wanted to share that. And it comes into, it's interesting because when you take a look at other cryptocurrencies, they're waiting, they actually were held their previous highs going back to 2017. You'll see here their percentage of the market came down, tested, and now is breaking out and actually has hit 38.2% retracement. Could this be an issue of the market just broadening out and more cryptocurrencies getting real life use and people becoming more aware of them and as a result investing in them? So it's a tough call right now whether the Bitcoin move is a bearish development or just a result of a broadening market place right now. So, and you can also see in the case of the DeFi space, it continues to march higher. I mean, it's been almost relentless, excluding a pullback here recently and then a small pullback here again. So you see that in the DeFi currencies today, they're all doing pretty well. Well, turning to Bitcoin itself, I remain bullish on it. The only negative that I really see at this point is the bearish momentum divergence that is existent on the intraday charts here. You'll see that really since this high here back on August 9th, we've been in a divergence with price here, which of course is going to happen at some point within an advance. So it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's not a surprise it's taking place. So really, since about August 9th, we really haven't accomplished anything in Bitcoin. We've oscillated around the 50% retracement level. We still are holding the July ascending trend line and the 56-hour simple moving average. So in the short term, would not be surprised if we see some type of pullback. I think that the pullback will extend only to the 38.2% retracement, which comes in at about 42,589. There's also a range. So let's just say the support will come in at 43,000 down to 41,000. That's where, you know, everything would still be healthy and there wouldn't be any problem with the longer term bullish outlook. A close below the 41,000 though would change things. Expose Bitcoin to a much deeper decline down to at least the 50-day simple moving average, which comes in at 37,687. Any weakness after that, then again, we have to at least entertain that this is a more complex bottoming process and it's going to take several more weeks before we can even begin to entertain the idea of hitting all-time highs, or possibly it's evolving into what Ali had just mentioned, into a bearish narrative that's going to have longer-term, huge negative long-term consequences for Bitcoin. So at this point, I'm still bullish. I'm bullish above 43,000 to 41,000. Anything above that is just correct the process. It's about a 10% pullback in that range. So that's completely healthy and nothing wrong with that at this point. So I'm still bullish.
That's interesting. So basically, right now, I mean, the only way that you can see a correction, I'm guessing that is through the break of the 200-day moving average, right?
No, the only way is if we break down below 41,000. Otherwise, I see any pullback in here is normal and healthy, considering that we do have the bearish momentum divergence on the intraday charts. So it would be normal for the market for Bitcoin to pull back. But we get a daily close below 41,000, then the dynamics change and the price structure changes, and we're going to be below the July ascending trend line. So then we can start thinking, okay, a test of the 50-day, or perhaps even lower than that moving forward. If that's the case, then it's either a very complex bottoming process that's taking place, or we are evolving into your more bearish outlook for Bitcoin.
Okay. And so basically, based on the current price action that you're seeing, and that 50% FIB right there, it seems like a close above the 50% FIB. Then what are you targeting? 51,000, I'm guessing.
No, if we resolve this bearish momentum divergence in Bitcoin at this point, really I don't see any notable resistance until we get up into the 78.6% Fibonacci retracement, which coincides with really a bunch of highs that go back to February, that go to March. They have the April, then you have these Mays. That's a major area of price congestion. So once it gets above this area, which also corresponds to these lows here in April, it's pretty free to run up to 57,000. I don't see many obstacles at that point.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, we'll just have to wait and see, right? I mean, if that divergence that you're also seeing indeed leads to a correction, right, to the 42, let's say $42,000 level, and from that point we get a rebound, then we will have to see if 57,000 comes into play, right? But yeah, I mean, kind of like that's I also believe that $42,000 support level comes at is going to be kind of like a make or break, right? I mean, if it's able to rebound from there, let's see what's the strength of that rebound, and if that rebound doesn't have any strength and Bitcoin actually breaks below that level, then I will lean a little bit even more bearish than what I am right now. But yeah,
it's a pivotal range. Just like when we started rallying, we talked about in the videos how that was a pivotal spot in terms of we moving from just a dead cat bounce into actually maturing rally or not. And now it comes down, if we get a test there, is this the end of this minor rebound, or are we going to see something more on the longer term in terms of Bitcoin? So it becomes a pivotal level again.
Yeah, indeed. Are you seeing anything different, Akash?
Yeah, actually a couple of things. I like a bearish theory. I'm on board with it, but the only thing I kind of have to point out is that the outflows are extremely bullish for Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, do you mind sharing your screen, by the way?
Yeah, just 1 second. Yeah, the first thing is the outflows, right? That we've been talking about for such a long time. There's a lot of outflow happening for Bitcoin. Apart from that, I think right now what's happening on a weekly time frame is that there have been 4 consecutive green weekly candles. And if you just look back, right, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a red candle, 1, 2, 3, 4 red candles, right? This was an exception. Something similar happened here. So I think that's what's happening right now. Could very well evolve to what you just explained, but right now I don't think that's the possibility, right? For me, I'm looking at this recently flipped supply zone to the demand zone, and right now it's been holding up pretty well above this, which this demand zone ranges from 43 to 46k approximately, right? And I want Bitcoin to hold above this. As long as it does this and it manages to go above hold on 1 second. Yeah, so for me right now, since it's holding above the 45k level here, there are 2 things that could happen here, right? This rising wedge formation could break down lower, or it could go higher. But assuming that this is actually the start of the second leg up of the bull run, right? I am pretty sure Bitcoin is going to go higher. And the only resistance for Bitcoin right now is this 50k level. Clearing this would essentially be free real estate for Bitcoin, at least up to 56k for me. So I'm looking at 50k. A break of this would push Bitcoin to 56k. But anything beyond that, it's uncertain for me right now. Hello, Ali?
Yeah, I would say that
Sorry about that.
also a cash about 57,000, it gets to be difficult to call.
Go ahead. Above 50,000, you mean?
57,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so something that I wanted to point out, Akash, is that you were talking about the outflow of Bitcoin from exchanges, right?
Yeah.
But the supply on exchanges since August 15th basically over the past 2 days has actually increased, right? From 2.46 million Bitcoin to 2.47 million Bitcoin. Another interesting thing that I have been seeing, right, is kind of like the addresses that hold between 100,000 to 10,000 Bitcoins, between 100 to 10,000 Bitcoins, have also continued to decrease the amount of holdings that they have, right? Basically going from around 9.23 and now they're sitting at around $9.17 million, right? I mean, that to me is it's a little bit bearish from an on-chain perspective. The only bullish thing that I'm seeing right here is the number of active addresses on the network, right? Whenever you see the number of active addresses on the network, we see that it actually made a recent higher high, right? Because it was just making a series of lower lows, right? And now that it made this higher high, there is a possibility that Bitcoin could potentially pump, just like we have been saying, right? Potentially to 50, 51,000. And then from there, I believe that we'll have to see what's up. But something that worries me as well from an on-chain perspective is that if you see the volume, right? During the recent run-up, basically the volume has been going down where prices are going up on-chain volume. So that's a little bit of a bearish divergence right there as well, you know. People that bought Bitcoin within the last 30 days right now sit at around 13% profits, while those who bought Bitcoin within the past year sit at around 19% profits. So, I'll also, like bearish signals from an on-chain perspective are starting to show up, or maybe I have a bearish bias, right? Because maybe I'm not looking at all the critical on-chain metrics that I should be looking at, right? But I'm definitely paying attention to all of this. And then of course, right, when you look into transaction history, it does seem, just like Sheldon said, that if Bitcoin manages to just break above $50,000, it's basically, it's kind of like a free space for it to run up all the way to 57,000, as the IO map, the in and out of the money around price model, shows no significant resistance barrier ahead of Bitcoin. The most significant level of resistance and support that has been acting up over the past few days is kind of like this barrier right here between $45,500 and $46,800, right? Where Bitcoin has been trying to break above it and sometimes get rejected and so forth. Right today, it does seem like it's trying to overcome this resistance barrier again. So I do see that there is potential to run to $51,000, but from there, based on the on-chain metrics that I'm seeing, kind of like the fractal that I'm evaluating, I don't know where we'll be heading next. I believe that the bearish outlook will get validated, but again, we'll have to see, our next webinar is on Friday. So for those who are viewing, pay attention and stay tuned so that we can continue updating you about Bitcoin's price action.